what I do a good job of is I am always listening, and we might talk for an hour, and there might be one sentence that you say that I'm like, oh, and I'm gonna remember it for the next 30 years.
I just came for the coffee.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah.
Today's guest is super special. I don't want to waste much time bringing her on. Give me a little test, Grandma.
Yes.
That sounds perfect. She's got the best mic out of all of us. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. You should know what it is by now, but if you don't, it's Questions Over Coffee. I'm your host, Mitch. I'm here with Christian.
What up?
Dude, we got a big one today. Big one.
We do. We've been hyped all day about it.
Oh, yeah, we have. But more than just today. I've been so excited about this because when I started this podcast and I put out the first couple episodes, I knew there was some people I wanted to reach out to, some high reaches where I'm like, I hope they would say yes. And I'm honored. I'm a bit surprised. Like we talked about this earlier. Yeah. Like when I get into my flesh, I'm like, man, I'm surprised. But then when I think about God and the plan that he has, I'm like, God's at work.
He's moving it, bro.
He's doing it. So I'm just really grateful that our guest today made the time for us and is willing to chop it up with us. So if you didn't notice the football on the table, we got ourselves an NFL veteran today, a journeyman that has an amazing story, not only on the field, but off the field. He is doing so much. I try and keep tabs on this guy and I can't keep up.
Doing homework was tough.
Yeah.
Doing homework was tough.
No, I think it was easy.
In a good way.
So
That's
much.
what I mean. Yeah.
There was so much on this guy. And I'm just excited. So we're not going to waste any more time. I've known him for a long time, but we haven't seen each other in forever. So we're bringing him on right now. You want to do it?
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Copeland.
What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?
Thank you.
Oh, man. Brandon Copeland. Dude, I haven't seen you since 4th grade.
I know, man.
It's been a while.
Been a while. We used to be doing multiplication tables.
We did.
We used to race each other.
He told me about that.
Competitiveness.
That's cool.
It's funny when you texted me, you were like, this is a full circle moment, man. Like we went from Foursquare and times tables to now chopping it up on a podcast. And honestly, dude, I just want to start by saying thank you for making this time.
I appreciate you, brother.
Dude.
I appreciate you. Listen, one thing too is if you ever get Mr. Speck on here, if you ever get him on here, you got to let me know.
Are you serious?
I'm trying to find him.
I was texting my family about this yesterday, and I was like, was Mr. Speck...
Was that one of your teachers, I'm assuming?
That was our 4th grade math teacher.
Okay.
Yeah. And all right, so hey, Mr. Speck, if you're out there, or if somebody knows Mr. Speck, the math teacher, get him to us, and we'll chop it up with him as well. He's an interesting character, bro.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He had animals in the class. He ran Foursquare tournaments. It was the favorite class. He did gym and physical activity with us. He had tattoos all over. But I remember one of the many lessons I learned from him. He was like, if I get a tattoo, I get it in a place that never wrinkle. So he had like something on his ankle. He had something on like wrist, little things like that. Which again, don't really mean much, but as a 4th grade kid, you're like, this is the coolest class in the world.
Yeah.
So. It was definitely interesting. He had like a ranking for Foursquare. You'd go into his class and it was like, where are you at? There was like top 20 and then there was like
I would have been obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I would have been all about that.
If you were on the bubble, you better perform.
Y'all make me want to play again.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's only been like 25 years, but
it would change every day. Like
really?
You'd be outside like, oh, this is my day. I'm at 3.
That's awesome.
I got to be number 1 today.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
wow.
dude. But
dude,
I want to get into you and what you do. You do so much. And I think we'll start with like football, because obviously that's like a huge foundational piece of your life. When did you know, like, I want to make this my forever?
Yeah. One, again, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. This is
We're
beautiful,
honored.
man. Amazing set as well too.
Thanks.
So I always knew I wanted to play in the NFL. I started playing in 4th grade. My grandfather played for 11 years, but I was never comfortable admitting that to people. I was that kid that was afraid of failure, so to speak, or afraid of public failure, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people never saw that in my future, so to speak, either. So I wasn't strong enough mentally to have multiple people just tearing down in my dream every day.
Sure.
So for me, I was always telling myself football is a means to an end, and I'm always working. Like I'm I know at some point this thing is going to click, and I'm a one day be a standout, even though I wasn't like that until senior year of high school. And finally, when we got to college, I remember studying for exams sophomore year. I had my football captain at the end of the season. His name was Owen Thomas. Unfortunately, he passed away. And he said to me, he's like, "Hey, Cope, I think you the one. Like, I think you can make it to the league." And I remember smiling, like, okay, that's cool. And in my mind, I'm like, man, maybe I should just go ahead and work for this. But I remember sophomore year, studying for exams, I'm listening to J. Cole for the first time. And I'm hearing his Friday Night Lights mixtape, and the Too Deep for the intro song is just so smooth. And at the end of it, he says, if they don't know your dreams, then they can't shoot them down. And I was like, damn, that's been me my whole life, like not wanting people to shoot them down. And so I kept it quiet. And then around junior year is when I started telling people, like, all right, I'm going to the league. And that was, for me, a different mental switch, because one of the things that I don't like to let people down. And so I also don't like public embarrassment or failing, quote unquote, publicly. So once I tell you something, it's done.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's not even just different. It's just done. Like I remember we did our first football camp. We're doing our 7th this year. And our first one, I remember just posting about it. Like, yo, we're going to do a football camp, boom, 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 boom. We hadn't planned anything. We got like 5 months till this football camp goes. But once I said it, it was done. So there's certain things in my life where I'm like, all right, I got to go ahead and put it out there, because I know that now you're going to hold me accountable, you know?
It wasn't a sense of like, once you put it out there, you have to hold yourself accountable to like prove that. It was like, now I know that other people are going to be putting that pressure on me too.
Exactly. For me, I'm my biggest critic. Anything that I've ever done wrong in the world, any failure I've ever had, any test I've ever failed, whatever that may be, I've already picked it apart.
There's nothing you could say to me that I haven't said to myself already, kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And so for me, I know the work ethic that I'm going to put into it, but there's something that, for me, there's a different energy when your friends know it and your family know it. And now it's like, Cope, well, you said you're going to do this. I mean, what are you going to do, right? And that's not even just with football. That might be with a diet. That might be with studying for an exam, the bar exam. Again, I've never done that, but I'm just saying, like, whatever it is, there's certain things and certain goals where I feel like if you put it out there and you tell a few people, or for me, in certain cases, you tell, whoever is, cares to see it by following you or whatever, then it holds you accountable to it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that I've done to just try to continue to go for the next ring and the next ring and the next ring in the ladder.
That's so cool, because I remember you left our elementary school, 4th grade. You switched schools. What'd you go, Gilman?
Ended up going to Gilman. Well, I was Sykesville middle till 7th grade. And then Gilman,
you switched.
8th.
You switched in 7th. I remember when you switched, that was the first time, like, because we talked, like the kids that were at school, like, Brandon left to go play football. That was the first time I knew someone was like chasing a dream. Yeah. First time in my life, like a peer was like elevating themselves was you in middle school. I thought it was a little earlier, but it was middle school.
No, that's funny that you guys thought it that way, because for me, and again, at the time, I wouldn't even put it into those words, even though I knew I was going to Gilman and I'm trying to play football. But for my family, my mom and stuff, it was like, we're trying to go to, we saw my cousin have an amazing opportunity playing at Spalding. He played with Rudy Gay from a basketball standpoint. And so that's what she wanted to give me, that opportunity and that exposure. But it's funny because, when you're that young, it's not like you're thinking about necessarily what other people are perceiving it as. But me, I'm just like, I'm just going over here to just go to the next.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty cool.
All right. So one thing we like to do on here, I know we sent you like kind of an itinerary of some questions. We like to hit you with some rapid fire questions.
Beautiful.
All right. And you spent a lot of time in the league and you've been on a lot of different franchises. So some of these are going to pertain to football and some of them aren't.
Okay.
You ready for it?
Let's do it.
All right.
Are we alternating?
And
You go first.
not just Brandon Copeland, Professor Copeland.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. But Professor Copeland, first question. best NFL franchise.
Ravens.
Yes, I was hoping he was going to say that. The worst that you've been a part of.
Oh,
I said not best. I wrote it in as not best. I didn't know if you wanted to go digging.
Yeah.
I was about to say I still need to
Not
get
best.
invited to homecoming. I'm not-
It doesn't even have to be one you were on.
Nah, that's a different organization now. Worse how?
I don't know, your
You answer
experience.
it.
Yeah.
Let me not beat around the bush. At the time, I'll say the Tennessee Titans. At the time that I was there, it's a totally different organization now. Vrabel being the head coach. But when I was there, there was a lot of disorganization going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Pre-game hype song.
Ooh. The last couple of years, it's been Blue Notes 2, Meek Mill.
Okay.
Okay.
Notes.
Important piece of universal advice. That's a pretty broad question, but
Yeah. I couldn't tell you my favorite quote right now. I know my favorite quote, but it's just so long-winded like myself that I couldn't really tell it to you. But it's a quote basically about the glass is already broken. When somebody knocks this glass, imagine this was a glass mug, knocks it off the table and it shatters, you think, aha, like I already knew this was going to happen, right? And so that quote basically always reminds me that this moment is already over. This glass is already broken. This relationship we have is already altered, so to speak. So appreciate every single moment of it while you have it. So whether that's your platform, appreciate it because it's already done.
I like
right?
that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's going to take
That's
some
a pretty good
meditation on my
answer,
part.
too, bro.
That's going to stick with me
Yeah.
for some time.
Sacred
Definitely.
Hoops, Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson, huh?
It wasn't his quote, but
Okay.
he put it in
Yep.
the book, Sacred Hoops.
Yep.
Okay.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
And we don't have to do superlatives. Like it could just be one you love.
Yeah. Let's go Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
Baby
right.
Miles.
Greatest NFL teammate you've ever had?
Hello, Dinata.
Ooh, let's
Hello,
go. All right.
Hello, Dinata.
Favorite NFL head coach you played for?
Jim Caldwell, hands down. Coach Caldwell used to be the OC here in Baltimore, head coach in Detroit, one of the greatest people.
Isn't he from
Ever
here
played
also?
I don't think so. I think he's from Wisconsin,
Okay.
I want to say, or something like that. But yeah, when I went out to Detroit, I know this is rapid fire, but when I went out to Detroit to sign with them in 2015, him and I sat down and we spoke for like 45 minutes and we literally talked about football for like 5. And the other 40 was just about real estate investing and adulthood and being a grown up and financial freedom and all these different things. So I always loved him because he cared about us as people and as men and as entrepreneurs and as fathers and as husbands.
Cool.
That's powerful.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what is it?
One piece of advice. Let's go. Ask the world for what you want and go get it. Stop doubting yourself.
All right.
How are you with your times tables?
I'm great.
9 times 6?
9 times. God damn. God damn. Where's ChatGPT? God. 9 times 6 right now. Damn. Let's go to the next question.
We got it. We stumped it.
Favorite part about being a father?
54.
There it
Better
is.
late than never, right?
Exactly.
You had it.
Ivy League professor over here. Do anything you want to do, kids. Best part about being a father is, man, it's the best challenge in the world. That's the best part. I think it pushes you to grow to a totally different stratosphere because my sons show me the best of me and they also show me the worst of me. And there's certain habits that you want to tell them, no. Damn, you learned that from me.
Right.
Right? All right, so how am I?
You just gave me chills with that
challenging
one, bro.
myself
For
better,
real.
you know?
Yep.
Yeah, Christian's a father also. He has 3.
Awesome. There
Yep.
you go. You got
Yep.
3?
That's wild.
Boys, girls?
2 girls and a boy.
Oh, nice.
Boys the middle. Yeah. Yeah. It's wild, bro. It's a crazy experience.
We touched on real estate, and we're going to go into it, but you're also a big investor. One stock everyone should buy.
Ooh. I mean, the safe answer here is SPY. One ETF you should buy. SPY, VOO, right?
Okay.
I love Apple. I love Amazon. This is not financial advice. Don't sue me. All of that. But I love companies like that because they're always just going to the next level. Microsoft now as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ChatGPT did a lot for Microsoft this past year. It's crazy.
What's something on your bucket list that you haven't done?
Never flown in a private jet.
Okay.
Never flown in a private jet. Yeah. I always want to go see. I want to see every single country I want to go to every continent.
Yeah.
In the world. So,
How many you got under your belt now?
I want to say 4.
Okay. I'm going to guess Antarctica's not on that list yet.
No, Antarctica's not on that list yet.
Okay.
But
it's coming.
Yeah. One day.
Yeah. Last question. We'll get you off the hot seat.
Cool.
Cheat meal.
So many cheat meals. Cheat meal would definitely be some Wingstop lemon pepper wings, man.
Ooh.
Wingstop's gonna have to pay me.
I love Wingstop.
Wingstop.
Wingstop's going to
Hit your boy up.
Ross. Get the deal done.
Yeah, get the deal done, Ross. You got it. So let's go into NFL. You spent a lot of time as like somebody who had to earn every rep. Like one thing I respect about you, bro, through injury, through trials and tribulations, you put your head down and you work. Is there any unique experiences or maybe teammates or coaches? I know you talked on Coach Caldwell and that like 45-minute conversation, but was there any guys that guided you along the way that helped inspire that? Or was that kind of just in you from maybe your grandfather or your family? Like, where did you draw that from?
Yeah, man, I think I drew it from a number of places. I think first you got to be intrinsically motivated, right? Like there's been a certain amount of ambition that I've just been blessed with. Like I'm interested in next. I'm interested in getting better. I'm interested in learning how does that work? What goes into this phone? Like I'm just interested in those things. And then the next, on top of that, especially my rookie season, Brian Hall, Josh Bynes, there was a guy named Tommy Streeter, Torrey Smith. What I do a good job of is I am always listening, and we might talk for an hour, and there might be one sentence that you say that I'm like, oh shit, and I'm gonna remember it for the next 30 years, right? Brian Hall, I remember there was a day in practice, and I got my opportunity because somebody got hurt during the middle of training camp, and I was gassed, and I could not keep up. It was 2-minute drill, and they were just really trying to run the rookie around. And Brian Hall, that night, we were competing for the same job. And he stopped me in the parking lot and was like, yo, you got to go. What you doing? Like that was your opportunity and you f***ed it up. I don't know, can we cuss on this podcast or not, but
you're good.
Bleep it out. And you messed it up. And he talked.
You be yourself. We'll worry about the back end.
There we go.
Say what you want to say.
And one of the things he said was, listen, like you can't stress what you can't control. I remember him telling me about that. And he was like, when you go out on that field, you can't think about what our competition is, what the GM is thinking about you, what you did yesterday. Like that's out of your head. You got to focus on what you can control. That was a life gem. Josh Bynes, I remember in the locker room, he told me, the NFL's don't take this business personally. Like you might get cut and you might have done every single thing right. Don't always think it's something about you because this business has been here long before you and it'll be here long after you. No matter how big time you think you are, they release Ed Reed. Right.
Yeah.
Like, don't think that you immortal here. Right. That was huge for me mentally to just keep me going. Torrey Smith kept me probably out of a lot of trouble. I remember him saying, hey, if I'm ever in a situation that I think is just a bad situation, I'm just going to get out of it. Like, I'm just going to avoid it. A lot of times we play with fire. Right. Like oh, damn, that's kind of cool. Like, let me touch it. For him, he's like, I'm going to just either catch an Uber home. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm just going to avoid it completely. So he told me that going into my second season, that probably kept me out of a lot of places. Yeah. And there's just been so many other people that have added to those lessons. So I think being an avid listener paired with having a natural ambition has helped me just always say, we got to go. We got to go. We got to go. And then also, I think the final thing is, at a certain point, it became, it wasn't, a lot of people talk about trying to prove people wrong. And that was my motivation, probably my first 4 to 5 years through the NFL. and that helps. I'm going to say, you know, a lot of people, I remember I had somebody who used to be like, that's not healthy. You're kind of revenge motivated and all of that type of stuff. And I'm like, it's worked, you know, like, so figure out what works for you. Some days it's music. Some days it's what somebody said about you. Some days it's a comment on Instagram. And that's just what I've done, so that every single day I find a way to just do what I need to do to be the best version of myself that day. And then tomorrow we'll try to figure out what's next.
Was there discouragement like through the injuries? Because like, I think it was it Detroit? Like the first preseason game you tore your pec. Like that's when you're finally like, you feel like you're going to get those reps. And like, how'd you stay motivated during those times? Yeah,
that one, my gosh. So the day before that game, a lot of people don't know this, the day before that game, they told me I was going to be the starter. And that was my first time ever in the NFL starting. I'd worked like 4 years to get there.
Nice.
And that game, obviously I tear my pec in the middle of the second quarter, I want to say. And I remember going into the training room and the trainer saying, "Hey, Cope, you tore your pec." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." Like, because it's not painful. Like I tore the tendon all the way across. So there's no nerve endings that I'm feeling or anything like that. So I'm like, cool. Like, what about 2 weeks, 3 weeks? He's like, "No, that's 6 months." I'm like, "Hey, come on, man." Like, yesterday they told me I'm the starter, man. So you better go find some Band-Aids and some peroxide.
Damn.
We got to get this thing rolling. So anyway, that one was definitely a huge punch in the gut. And I think what happened, that was my first time since fourth grade not playing football in the fall. And after a week of just being in the dumps, and I told him, just go dump it. I watched Kobe Bryant's Muse that day. My buddy, Kerry Hyder, who just finished up his 9th season with the San Francisco 49ers, he tore his Achilles that same game. We watched Kobe Bryant's Muse. We ate some chicken wings, and then we told each other,
You watched Kobe go out and shoot that free throw with a torn Achilles?
Right.
Yeah.
And we told each other one day at a time. And so anyway, came back, and I think that season, though, that was 2017. That was the season that really started amplifying things off the field, because now it was like, all right, Cope, what would you do without football?
Okay.
You talk about it a lot. People think you're smart. You don't have nothing else to do right now but go to rehab. You're going to start flipping houses. You're going to start doing this. And so that was the year that really started getting me out there, just really going for the off the field stuff.
I love hearing that, because it's like out of trial is where like beauty can be born, because dude, you do so much. And to learn, because I didn't know that was birthed through a trial,
a tribulation.
Like to make the most of out anything. Yeah, dude, that's inspiring.
And that's what God does, man. I mean, let's be honest, right? Trials and tribulations equal growth. Like if he wants to move you, that's what he does.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's going to move us, right? I mean,
but then after Detroit, you had you played with the Jets for a couple years, 2 seasons?
Yep, 2 seasons with the Jets.
Yeah, and is there whether it's the Jets or any team, because I like doing some research on you, it's like that's where you start. I think you started like 10 games in one of those seasons or something along those lines. Was there a memorable moment, play, a sack, because you got some forced fumbles? Like, is there one that sticks out?
Yeah, that first season with the Jets was my best season playing ball for sure. The first game of the season was Monday Night Football. We had just drafted Sam Darnold, and we played in Detroit. And that was I literally did not leave the field besides offense.
Every defensive snap.
Had me on field goal too.
Really?
I played every defensive snap and every special team. And I was gassed.
Yeah.
But going against your old team, we beat them too.
Right.
That was, you had all the energy in the world.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool moment. There was also a moment with the Jets. The Jets was different because my wife is from there and her family's there, and it's 3 hours up the road from my hometown. So my family could be at all the games. There was one game where we stuck around. So after a game, I had a good game. And sometimes if you have a good game in the NFL, they want to drug test you. They're like, hold up, you had too good of a game. And they didn't tell me this until after I'd already peed. Like I already went and peed, and then I come back to my locker and they're like, hey, we're going to drug test you. And so you got to pee a certain amount in the cup, or you just got to sit around there and wait. So literally I'm like, damn, why y'all didn't tell me this? And I'm literally
dehydrated
sitting
from
around
the game.
waiting. Yeah, so I'm drinking water, but I'm like, listen, like I'm gonna go out and get my family. They're literally the stadium is empty, and it's just me, the drug tester, and a couple of people cleaning up. So I get my family. They come out. They were waiting for me. Come out. We go into the field, and literally the entire Jets stadium is just us.
Cool.
And like we're in the field. My niece and nephew are there. My son was like a few months old at that point, maybe like 5 or 6 months old. But that was like a really cool experience because all my family was just like, yo, this is what it feels like to be in the middle of the field and the lights are on, and it was really cool. So
cool.
And that was going to lead to my next question. It was funny. Is New York, are those lights brighter? Like, was that a bigger stage for you or was it similar?
Yeah, I think they're all similar.
Yeah.
Man. I think that New York, there's a lot of opportunity in New York, right? With those bright lights, there's a lot of media. There's every publication there, outlet there. So when you do well, you're able to really optimize it.
Yeah.
In comparison to Tennessee.
That's what I want to ask too. Like, is it sad to get traded? You know what I mean? Like, I've always wanted to ask a pro this, right? Like, to have to not play in your hometown, like for me would be bittersweet, right? It's like, well, cool, you want me, but I gotta leave. Like,
yeah, honestly, I think you end up developing a scar,
like a thick skin over it. Like,
yeah, I mean, my thing as an undrafted guy, I see guys get traded, and yes, there's a lot that goes into it. I'm not saying that it's like there's nothing to think about. There is a lot of things to think about. You got to pick up your family sometimes, take your kids out of school, move across the country. Sometimes you find out about it on TV or from your friends, right? Like that is.
Did you have that
harsh.
experience?
No, I've never been traded, right?
Okay.
But me my perspective as an undrafted guy is like, well, shoot, at least somebody wanted you.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yep.
Because I've also been cut and fired and not had a place to be on a team with now. I think that's one thing that you learn about the NFL. Again, it's not taken away from guys that get traded like, oh, stop crying. No, it's like there's a lot of people who are supporting you in this journey that are affected by the decisions that teams and businesses make. There's always another perspective. I remember as an undrafted guy, I sat down and did a interview with Arthur Brown, who was the second round draft pick that year. He's like the second pick of the second round out of Kansas State. And we sat down and did an interview, and they asked me about the pressure I have as an undrafted free agent to perform, right? And he was able to talk about the pressure that he has as a second round draft pick to be playing like Ray Lewis the year Ray Lewis retires today, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, he didn't say this in the interview, but basically like, that's a lot of pressure to put on me. You know, I'm still learning the playbook just like you, you know? And so I think that, you know, you learn that there's so many different perspectives that everybody is dealing with, but also just different perspectives in the locker room.
Yeah. Right. And you played in a lot of different locker rooms. And one I want to touch on and ask you about Patriots, Bill Belichick. Like, is he as different as we all think?
Bill Belichick is amazing. You know, I'm the type of guy, so I take notes in everything that I do. And with the Patriots, I literally have a page of notes for Bill Belichick and just how he runs the organization and how he helps create a culture and how, you know, he comes to meetings with his notes and his bullet points of things that he wants to get by and how he coaches up everybody the same. He doesn't care if he might be about to cut you next week, but if you are doing something, he's going to coach you up to get you better. So for me, I think it was an amazing experience for me to go in and see how to run a company, you know? And how to be an excellent leader. I know they've had their struggles since Brady has left, but for an avid learner, that was an opportunity of a lifetime.
Is awesome. He as Stonewall as he looks?
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah. And he will crack a smile. He will make a joke or two, but you know, it's one of them Kawhi Leonard laughs. You know. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And now, also, I want to kind of transition, and I have a couple questions that kind of blend together. But as far as like financial literacy, so you're an Ivy League graduate. You're a smart guy. You're not just an athlete. You're not just this football player. And now you're teaching financial literacy. And I know you talked about through injury, but what parts of that like drew you to like trying to pass that along as opposed to just capitalizing it off for yourself?
Yeah, for me, it's I'm probably gonna quote way too many song lyrics during this conversation though. But J. Cole again says, "What good is the money if my friends are broke? What good is first class if my friends can't sit?" Like when you walk into different places and spaces, and you're thinking, "Man, like my mom hasn't experienced this, my brother hasn't experienced this, my cousins haven't experienced this." Like, it's for me, it's not just good enough for me to be in the room.
It's less enjoyable.
It's less enjoyable,
Yeah.
right? Like, why do I want to work this hard and get to a place where the people who have helped me get there can't actually enjoy it and be along for the ride with me? Now, when you're at that place, you understand too, all right, well, if I am the one paying for and enabling all of that every time, then this ain't gonna last that long.
Right.
But if I can teach us all how to fish, then
There you go.
Now I'm empowering you not only to change your life, but then shoot, maybe there's ways we work together. Maybe there's ways we build this empire together, right? Yeah. And so for me, that's, I think, what motivated me to set out on this journey was the fact that, I was privy to a bunch of access and information and exposure, but my mom wasn't, and she's my hero, And so if you can't take care of her, then I don't really care what you have to say. So if I'm in the room, all right, well, let me get game, but I got to make sure that she has access to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any student success stories, whether they've done it on their own or become a partner in a business or anything like that?
Yeah, I have tons of those, man. I think that's what keeps you going. So I'll give an example of one, but I think that, my first year teaching, the first class, I remember it was like game day sweats. Like, I'm like, oh snap. Like, I remember right before, like, I'm jittery and all that stuff, which is, for me, is really, really cool. Like, I think, part of me seeks that nervous energy and anxiety that I used to get before football games. And after a while, after literally my first year, I stopped getting nervous before games and the butterflies in the stomach. But I seek that in different challenges and businesses and relationships and all of those things, right? And I remember that feeling right before going into that first pen class, and I'm listening to the music in my headphones, and I'm like, okay, we got to deliver, right? Yeah. Like, and it's getting hype. And then during the middle of that semester, right, like maybe like 5 classes in, I could see a student say like you could literally, I can't remember what we were talking about, but they were like, oh, so it's like this. Like it
you saw the light bulb come on.
Yeah. And then now it's clicking for you, but we're talking about real estate investing, or we're talking about your credit, or we're talking about something that you really are about to use. Like, I could see how it just clicked where this young lady was like, oh, you just gave me the cheat code. And I was like, oh, I see why teachers love this. Wow. I see why educators love this. Like, that's a really dope feeling. We had in our first class, we had a student who graduated and paid down $130,000 of student loan debt within 2 years. And she would literally send us updates every few months of just her whiteboard in her room with 130 at the top and just her aggressively going for it. And she told us the strategy. She comes back and speaks at our class now, but like, that is amazing, right?
That's a win. Yeah.
That's a huge win. And now she takes that money that she was aggressively paying her student loans down. And I told her, look, don't keep that same energy. Now she's investing for herself, and she's trying to get her first home and all of those things. And again, we've only been doing the class for 5 years. We've scaled it, but those types of stories are like, yeah, that's contagious.
Yeah. For sure. Got me hyped, dude. That's today for us. We called each other at 8:00 in the morning, those butterflies, those sweats. Yeah. That's because you're willing to come on and chop it up with us, bro. Like, it's a big moment for us. So thank you.
I called him before I was awake, and I was like, I'm calling you to hype you up because I'm already hyped up. Let's get on the hype train. But it's been that energy. Like, I too like shooting for that stuff.
Yeah, man. So we appreciate it big time.
No problem.
And, So blending the financial literacy and the NFL, I got to ask you, it's a big moment, especially in Baltimore sports, the Lamar Jackson contract negotiations. Yes. What's your take?
Hey, it worked out.
Worked out.
It's amazing, man. I'm excited. Lamar is the most exciting player I've ever played with. It was an absolute pleasure to be sitting there on second or third down and know, like, oh, we got this. Like, this is an easy conversion. Like 3 yards, 4 yards, 7 yards. Like, regardless of what the stick said with Lamar back there, you know you got a chance.
Yep.
You know, you have a chance whether he throws somebody open, whether he hits Andrews over the top, whether he decides to take off, the play breaks down and he runs with his legs. It's like with him having the ball in his hands, we're in a good place. So it's great to see him happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great to see, obviously, the Ravens organization happy. It's also great to see Odell come in here. You're gonna have
definitely
on the other side, right? Like you have a lot of pieces now that make this franchise scary.
Something.
It was already scary.
Right.
You got JK in the backfield. Like it's already scary. Now it's just like, oh, snap.
And bringing Odell here, was huge for me too, because my family is from Long Island, like my grandparents. So my grandfather had New York Giants, not Jets, but Giants season tickets. So like when I heard Odell was here, I was like, the picture's complete, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we're good. Like, I don't even care about, like, I don't know.
I'm
that
just glad
was huge
that
for me.
the organization made the right moves to show that Lamar, like, we're obviously doing it for a franchise, but like they tried to put the pieces together for him to, like you said, make him happy. Because one thing I noticed after Hollywood Brown left this past season, I'm like, he doesn't seem happy. He used to be in the golf cart riding around, and last season he just didn't seem happy. And you said it before, and I'll say it again, he's the most exciting Raven I've ever watched. Yeah. We got multiple Super Bowls, and I'm grateful for all those guys. But when you put Lamar on Sunday, it's like, what are we going to see now?
You just want to watch. You just want to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a lesson that I would even take from it or derive from it is like, there is no negotiation that happens where your feelings don't get hurt.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned in football. And I know that's, I'm taking my football thoughts from it, but I also, like, I have a advisor now who you just negotiate my contracts, like, and off the field. Yeah. Like, me and you like each other. We're cool. We're talking about this big thing we're about to do together. And then now, as soon as it comes to the money, you have to tell me everything negative about me. And I got to tell you everything like I'm giving up for you. Right. So naturally, we're on different sides of the table at that point. There's not too many negotiations that happen where it's like, you want this one? Yeah, cool. Right. And then if that happens, then you're like, damn,
I just lost.
I should ask for more.
Now you walk away upset. So again, zoning out this, I'm not saying it had to go this way, but there's not too many negotiations that you walk away from like, there has to be that back and forth so that everybody can feel like they won. Right. And I am just glad that Lamar Jackson will still be in a Ravens uniform.
Amen.
Because I don't think he would, no offense, Lamar, you would look good in other uniforms, don't get me wrong, but it's just Baltimore. It's just right here. You come out on Thursday night, Sunday night, them black unis, the big old Raven flying around the stadium in AR. Like, this is a different place. Yeah. You walk through the locker room before the game, you walk through the tunnel, you got the purple lights on, Kodak Black playing. Like, that doesn't happen in other locker rooms, right? Like, they have other music going, they get you hyped, don't get me wrong. But Baltimore is a special place, and it deserves a player like Lamar Jackson.
How about them light shows they've been doing too?
Man.
Bro, I did for my birthday two seasons ago. Was like the first time they did it with the wristbands and all that.
Oh, really?
Bro, it was like, I felt like I was at a concert. Like, it was insane, dude. I mean, it's just the energy's wild.
Entertainment.
Yeah, it's wild.
What piece of advice would you give Lamar with this big bag?
Be you. Yeah. Just keep being you. I think that one thing that people don't give him credit for, and maybe they do, and maybe I just don't see that enough. He's done it all, and he's been himself the entire time.
Yeah.
Right. Since being drafted, number 32
Yeah.
by the Ravens, and said, look, y'all just got a dog.
Right.
Sitting behind Flacco, I'm going to be myself. I'm not getting out in the media going crazy. I'm not doing anything,
Leaving my mom as my manager,
myself.
all that.
Yeah,
right.
But I'm staying the course of what got me here, and I'm just going to continue to progress and advance and evolve as a human being and a person. But that's the biggest thing that I would hope for him is like, his work ethic is going to be there. All of those little intangible details are going to be there. But, a lot of times people change, so to speak, when they get the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a quarterback in the NFL. You've had a bag.
Yeah.
You don't get me wrong. But now this is a different life.
Yeah.
And so can you continue to be yourself, continue to be happy, and then go out and do the sport that you love? Because final thing I'll say is one thing I had to learn in the NFL. I remember this young lady who went to Penn on the volleyball team. Shout out to Hillary Ash. Before a preseason game, she had texted me this quote that I've always kept with me, and I'm going to butcher it again, but basically she said, a long time ago, a little boy started playing this sport. Go out and just play for him, right? Like that was before all the coaching, before all the playbooks, before all the X's and O's. Go out and just play for him, right? It's football. And the best times I've had in my life is when I just say, yeah, that's the play cool. Yeah. Where's the ball at? Go get it. Yeah. This guy's trying to block me. Get him off you. Go get the ball, right? And I think that if Lamar just keeps doing that, hike, where's the open receiver?
Yeah.
Breaks down. Let me go. He'll be good.
And back to you, bro. What I meant to ask you this earlier. Were you always a defensive-minded player? Did you always know I'm a defender? Really?
Yeah, because my defense is more aggressive, right? Defense is more...
Lights are on a timer.
There
Sorry.
we go. All good. I wanted to get you your shot. Yeah, defense for me has always been more aggressive. Like offense... Sorry, damn, allergies.
No, you're good.
Defense has always been more aggressive. Offense was always like, I'm trying to prevent you from getting to this place, and I'm trying to be safe and, and pass block and all
Not
that
mess
stuff.
up.
Defense was like, I'm going to hit you and I'm going to put you in the ground and I'm going to tell you keep your ass from coming around. And your playing style changes over the years as you get older and all of those types of things, right? But like ultimately, I've always been a defensive mindset, and it's not like defensive in the passive. Like there's some people who are defense, like let me defend and preserve and like be prevent, right? As opposed to like aggressive. Like you got to come through me,
right?
And that's what I love.
That's cool that Haloti Nada is like your favorite teammate because he's one of those guys.
Yeah. Haloti, he might be. I used to say before Lamar, he was the most athletic player I've ever played with. Which is I played with Megatron, and this is not taking away anything from you, Calvin. I go ahead, promise you that, brother. Because Calvin, I played with Calvin in his last season, and people are like, damn man, he lost a step, and not in like a negative way, like yo, that's Calvin, and he lost a step, and we all looking like he lost a step. What the? This dude is killing it, breaking records. And he lost his step. Gosh, right? Yeah. And he walked away, protected his body and his mind and all those things, which is great. Haloti was 350 pounds when I met him in Baltimore, and he was, and Haloti will try to tell you he was 305. But
it's dyslexic.
But Haloti is just a ball of energy and a ball of joy. Like I've never seen. Well, I've seen a bunch of big kids, but he is just like positive in every single room that he walks in. It's light up. It's, I remember doing walkthroughs, and you got this future Hall of Famer, Haloti Nada, back there pretending to be Ed Reed as playing safety. Right? Like,
love it.
Him making jokes in the meeting rooms. Like he was one of the only people that could take the pressure off the players. Like when a guy might mess up on film, like, who coaches that guy? And like, look at the coach. Like, stop trying to put it all on the players. Like, who coaches that guy? Like, just lighten it up a little bit. Like, and so, and he always, like, the way he loved his family, the way he loves his family, the way he loves on his kids and all that stuff. Like, he would always joke with us, like, during training camp, he'd always have us over to the house and things like that. And he'd be like, as soon as my kids get here, like, I'm not hanging out with none of you fools outside the locker room. Like, just joking. Yeah. But it's like when my family's here, it's like I'm dad mode. Yeah. But now that they're not here, y'all come on over, we cook out, we have some fun and all that stuff. But like that also taught me, because that was before I had kids and a wife. It's like, oh, like
priority.
This is the way you be a pro. Yeah. This is the way you get your career to last. And again, big shout out to Lodi.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to touch on football before we transition into entrepreneurship?
Nah, man, go Ravens.
Right. Go Ravens. So, dude, you're a serial entrepreneur. And I try and keep my tabs on you, and I can't keep up. So will you talk about some of the verticals you're involved in, like, and what's coming next?
Yeah. All right, so shout out to C-Suite Logistics. We got a boy, you can't see him, Danny over there. What up, Danny?
That was loud. Sorry.
Surprised me a little bit.
We have C-Suite Logistics, which basically is my production company. It gives other people the ability to either have administrative support and operational support, like be your back office. It gives you design services, website design, graphic design, logos, all the things that I've used to help build my businesses. And then also production support, event production, headshots, weddings, photography, events, whatever it may be, right? And this is the team that I've used to build myself over the last 10 years in my off the field endeavors. And now it's like, okay, cool. Some of these things are rolling. We can offer this to other people now. And so I'm excited about that. Real estate, we do land development. So we'll have large parcels of land, acreage. We invest with other players and other people, where now we have triple net lease tenants, Target, McDonald's, trying to get Amazons of the world and stuff like that to come on the land. They don't trust us to build it, which is great. We go entitle the land, create joint venture agreements. They pay for the land, and we'll create equity partnership, and they will build. And then they'll do a letter of intent for years, and we literally can be like, that's a nice building right here, right? Like, yeah, we helped build you. We helped build that, right? Like, and you're not worried about Target paying their rent, knock on wood, right? Shoot, I guess we've seen some scarier things happen recently. But so we got the commercial land development, and now we also have multifamily. So 40 unit building, we're doing a 66 unit, 12, 16 in Newark, New Jersey, affordable housing, so that we're not just pushing people out of the neighborhoods that they were born in, grew up in. And I am working on continuing to do more things in the residential space. We're working on that partnership right now. We've done that. We've done house flips and stuff like that. But now I'm trying to figure out how we do it the right way in a way where I don't have to honestly look over my shoulder all the time. Unfortunately, once some of the relationships we had in the past, once a couple of them found out, what we did, they tried to take advantage, and so I'm trying to structure everything in a way where I can avoid having to look over my shoulder, and I can focus more of my attention on the actual details of the business. On top of that, we venture invest, and we built a financial education platform, Life 101, and we can keep going.
Yeah, man. So these properties, are you focused in one specific area? Are you all over in different states? How do you keep track of all this? Yeah,
so we will go where the opportunity is. Right now, our focus is on New Jersey, Maryland, and Florida. Florida in the Tampa area specifically, but we actually also are invested in a spot in California, 88 unit as well too, in Venice. But yeah, I will go where the opportunity is. I don't have any limits or any bounds. I want to find the best opportunity at the right time, and be able to invest in it. So if it makes sense, let's go for it. What I'm also trying to be wary of as well too, and this is just more of a message to people, is like, because a lot of the stuff sounds really, really sexy, like the Target, the land, and all that stuff, which it's great. The multifamily, those are a lot tougher. all of it's tough. There's a lot of entitlements. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that have to happen for you, and the ball has to fall the right way in order for it to happen. What I would tell people and what I would tell a younger version of myself is don't try to be too sexy, right? Like, think about the simplest things in the world and how can I own them? So like for me, looking at parking lots and self-storage units, right? Like, I've never heard anybody say, man, my self-storage unit is a little too hot.
But I have heard a parking lot looking sexy. That I have heard. No, I hear you, man.
Yeah, look for simplicity. Like,
That's great advice.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Streamline.
To the person that maybe doesn't have the capital to get something like that started, that's maybe listening and is like, I'm starting with breadcrumbs. Like, where do you recommend, what piece of advice do you give somebody that can start so small?
Yeah, one, I would tell you to always be learning and always be like getting those mental deposits so that when you do get your opportunity, you're ready, right? Like, I was learning for about a year and a half before I tore my pec. And I'd done 2 co-investments with mentors right before I tore my pec. So when the opportunity just presented itself, literally within 2 months, we bought 5 different properties and we were just going. Now, obviously we had the capital. I was the bank, but it's more of the mental piece. I was ready to dive in. I wasn't starting when I tore my pec to start doing the mental piece and the mental preparation for the journey I was about to go on. So get your mental right. In terms of the capital piece, understand, because it's I don't want to talk out of the side of my neck. The capital piece, a lot of people deal with the capital issue. You can either let it hinder you, or you can figure out a way to pivot and make it happen. Figure out how you get your stuff funded. Either it's crowdfund, either it's going around and pitching institutions and banks and all those things. Either it's looking up different type of alternative funding, right? Like, figure out. I was literally on a call on the way here with our 40 unit building, and we were talking about how we're going to bring and raise more cash and equity to come to the table to meet up with the bank that wants to fund it, right? So everyone's dealing with it. Don Peebles, the largest Black real estate investor and developer in the country, probably in the world, he put out an article about it, right? So like, I'm not saying it's levels to it, don't get me wrong, but like, capital will always be an issue. You can either let it hinder you, or you can figure out a way around it. So if mentally you keep telling yourself, I can't do it because of the capital, you'll never get started. Figure out a way. And I know that's not the best piece of advice or one direct answer, but figure out a way.
And then like for each thing, you have to have such a support and a lot of people in those roles. So how do you pick your team? What do you look for?
Yeah. So one, I look for people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and get it done. People who show a natural thirst and hunger and ambition for more. People who are not just trying to clock out at 5 p.m. All right. Playing in the league for 10 years, most of my meetings, literally, I take business meetings on a massage table. I know that sounds really, really bougie, but I take business meetings on a massage table after 6 p.m. Because our day was like from 7 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, and I go home and I get a massage, but the massage is not like one of those cucumbers over my eyes massage. It's like, you got this bruise here on your quad from somebody diving into it. We got to put an elbow in it and get rid of this blood, right? Like, so the team has to be willing to roll their sleeves up and get it done. And then they also have to be better than me in the sense of in their specific subject matter. You got to be willing. I am a generalist, so I need you to be the person that's going 30,000 feet deep in it. And then I got to be able to sit down with you and have you present to me or report to me the issues that I can give you my general take on, right? And so I think that that's something that that's not, I think, I know it's something that we're continuing to try to hone in on as we continue to build this thing out.
Love it. You touched on like the deep tissue massages. What else do you do for recovery? Like, what's your workout plan look like? What's your meal look like? Diet, exercise.
Yeah, so when I'm dieting, and I'm not dieting now, but when I'm dieting, it's paleo. It is protein, veggies, no starches. It's easier to say what's not. It's no sugar, no starches, and there's one other thing. Obviously, no. What's it called? Caveman diet. There's no sugar, no starches, and there's one other thing. I guess I haven't been on this diet.
No dairy. It is dairy.
That's what
Okay,
it is,
yeah.
I'm not a big dairy person anyway. So,
Hey man, I love my late night glass of milk. I would be in trouble.
oh,
I'd be in trouble.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
The dairy, the starches get me, and then just the sugary drinks will get me.
Paleo is vigorous, man. Like paleo is no joke.
Have you done it?
I personally haven't, but I remember and this was back before it was a wave. This was like probably 15 years ago, right? My best friend since we were two, Alex's brother, his older brother Tim, he's in the military and like always just this like ripped jack dude, whatever. So we went down to visit him one time and he told us, he was like, yeah, I'm on this paleo diet, and he like told us what it was, and I was like, that sounds horrible, bro. Like why would you do that to yourself? But
one of our guests, Dave Heiliger, did it. He's done he's got a half Ironman coming up, and when he does diets, he does paleo.
What gets you in shape, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. He's cutting fast. I know we don't have you forever, and we got to get you out of here. I got to go into beyond the basics and football camp and giving back to Baltimore youth and youth all around. Will you talk about upcoming event, why you do it, and all that?
Yeah, so we have our 7th football camp coming up. Beyond the Basics is the brainchild of my wife and I. And basically what we want to do is help young people have exposure and access to mentorship and opportunity and great experiences, once in a lifetime experiences. We came to the conception of this because I look at myself as nothing special. I just am fortunate to have had people and places in my life and a little natural curiosity that says, whoa, that's cool. Like, how do I learn more about that? Right. Or people point me in the right direction and say, oh, look at this big investment bank. Do you want to have an internship here? You just got to apply and do this. Oh, really? Okay, cool. But if no one ever tells me that exists, I'm not here. Right. And so we want to do that for other people, other kids, especially those with ambition and tenacity and persistence themselves. And so we do that through a number of ways. We do that through our football camp. We provide mentorship opportunities from there. We're working on starting our official mentorship program. And then we just do a number of cool experiences for people. So we've done shopping sprees. We literally have taken, a couple of years ago, we gave away $200,000 between me and 32 other NFL players, 16 different states. And literally in the same 2 days, Monday and Tuesday of that week, we had a bunch of NFL guys surprising a bunch of single moms, homeless individuals, young people with a shopping spree who all showed up to different targets and organizations throughout the country thinking they were going to do community service. So we show no limits in how we try to give back. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been something that has been really important to us. Like some foundations, they stick to their cause, which we stick to ours generally. But like if there's a district full of kids in Mississippi that can't eat during the pandemic because they rely on the school district to feed them twice a day, but it's so hot down there that their trucks are spoiling the milk and spoiling everything and they need to get those fixed, we're going to pay for it and make it happen, right? That might not necessarily be in our mission, but if we have the ability to help and we are called to it, then we'll do it. So
that's doing God's work.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that.
No problem.
No,
One thing I want to touch on too, bro. Yeah. You're so humble, man. Like I just met you, today, but I mean, like you've touched on it a couple of times, between the whole perspective thing where you said you're able to zoom out and just kind of see a big picture and let others be the more not. First of all, like even admitting that others are more not. Well, I mean, like it's easy for me, it's easy for you, but there's a lot of people out there that would never even openly admit that. Right. You know what I mean? So like that's valuable to me, and I hope like the viewers can see that too, because I mean, that's how to get stuff done, right? Like we all have our strengths, you know what I mean? And if you got one guy sitting up there thinking they have all the strength, then, you know, so
When you got the most to learn.
that's
when you think you know it
admirable
all is
for
when you
me.
got the most to learn.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, just adding on that really quickly. I think that, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Christian. It's like my biggest hope is that people see me and they understand that, like, oh, I can do it too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so with the financial education and the life 101 and the real estate and it's me trying to give you the blueprint as early as possible. Like, how do I give the knowledge that I have here and how do I give it to a younger version of myself or my mom or whomever as early as possible? And I understand because a lot of people, there's some people, whenever you post something or you say something, they were like, oh, well, it's easy for you to do that on the NFL salary, right? I get it. I'm sorry. I don't know what you want me to do is not play in the NFL.
Right.
I'm just doing my part
Right.
of like trying to share with you and show you like, all right, like there's through collaboration and through putting your ego to the side, you can do things that are a lot bigger than yourself because I promise you on my NFL salary, we couldn't do all of this.
Yeah.
Right.
They may have to start a little smaller than you did, but they could still get where
They
you
can still
are.
start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure, man.
All right. So where can the people find you and where can they get involved?
BrandonCopeland.com. Keep it that simple. You go to BrandonCopeland.com and has more information on us, the businesses, the foundation. We'll be at Gilman Saturday, June 10th. So yeah, you'll find us. We'll be out there somewhere.
Cool. And then last question before we get out, who's somebody we should interview next?
Oh,
Besides the math teacher, because you already called him
That's
out.
true. Mr. Speck.
Right.
Besides Mr. Speck.
where you at? Baltimore based. I would tell you guys you should interview the Charm City Buyers.
Okay.
Charm City Buyers, Khalil and Kiera Upta. They have, one, been mentors to me in the real estate side, but two, there are a couple here that are buying back blocks. They are sharing it with the community.
Cool.
Y'all should have them on.
Cool. Appreciate that. Maybe you can help connect us and we would love to make that happen.
Say no more.
Anything else you want to make sure we cover?
No, y'all are amazing, man. I appreciate this. And like I said,
We appreciate you, bro.
Hell of an opportunity. So
We appreciate you, man.
Dude, full circle.
Thank you.
Oh, and boys, I know it's questions over coffee and I forgot to say cheers
yeah,
earlier.
whoops.
Cheers.
Supposed to start, but you know, whatever.
Dude, that's it for this episode. Brandon, I can't thank you enough, bro. I'm so grateful you did this. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for you because I'm going to keep my eyes and my ears attuned to what you're doing. It's inspiring. It's amazing. And I hope that everyone listening can take a piece from you. And I just can't wait to see where you go, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to everybody on the back end. We hope you appreciate and enjoyed this episode. If you did, throw down a comment, maybe subscribe to the channel, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Let's go, bro.
Oh,
Let's go.
great job.
That was a good one.
Hey, bro.